What's up, weirdos? What's going on, guys? Good morning. All right, so what is going on out there today? Let's have a look at what's going on at the Bitcoin chart. See what's going on in the market. Tom Lee says 200K BTC. Let's find out, guys. Let's find out. How's everybody doing today? How the hell are you today, guys? Nice little day. Had a little bit of an issue earlier. StreamYard didn't want to work, so that was giving me a hard time. But we're here. We're back. We're at it, my friends. Okay, so let's have a look at the Bitcoin chart real quick here. Bitcoin pressing, guys. Look at this. Bitcoin is pressing. We have broken above $112,830. Can we close above there today? That's the question. Because 3 days ago we broke above. We broke all the way up to 113,400. And look what ended up happening. We ended up crashing all the way back down again. So will the bulls manage to close us above 112,500 and put in a higher high than right here? Because if we do, we are breaking the downtrend and we are putting in a higher high, my friends, which is starting a brand new uptrend. But we have to close the candle above this level here, above this blue line. So that's what we're going to be watching for today. We still have about 8.5 hours left before the daily candle close. So a lot can happen. A lot can happen in that time, my friends. So stay tuned here for every little bit of it. All right, let's get into the chat just a little bit here. We have 0 super chats to start the stream, so let's get into the chat here. William, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Ty, good to see you, buddy. Beebs, my dude. What's up, man? Paul, good to see you, man. Big C's in the house. Hello and good morning, crypto fam. Let's go, says Ty. William says, I hear a lot of people saying in 200,000 this year, which means it probably won't go that high, higher than 140 or 150. Yeah, my high for this cycle is actually between 150 and about $180,000. But like I said before, if you were to tell me, if I slipped into a coma today and I woke up next year and you told me that Bitcoin topped at about 135, 140,000, I wouldn't be surprised, right? So absolutely. Metal Detecting England, what's going on, man? What time is it live? It's 4:07 p.m. here in England. Live's right now, man. H. Barbarina in the house. Blessings, John. Super fantastic. What's going on, buddy? Jasmine making a move up. Let's go. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Big Kev dropping some cheddar. Big Kev's got my back. Good morning. What a great, profitable weekend. Let's go. Yes, absolutely, brother. Guys, we just closed out. A lot of people just closed out a trade, a swing trade we've been working on over in our trading group. And boom, another massive profit, guys. Boom, boom, boom. That's what we do. Market is red. Market is boring. Your portfolio doesn't look sexy. Guess what? We're making money in the trading group. Why you're not over there, I have no idea. Absolutely, Big Kev. Absolutely, brother. I saw that close, man. I saw that close. What else do we have? Working like crazy. It's good to be back. God bless you and your family. God bless you too. Thank you so much. There she is. Gamma Goddess in the house. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's get this money. Hell yeah. King of Ohio, Jake the Snake in the house. Roberto, Monday is a liar. I'm so scared. Hold me. Absolutely, brother. I got your back. I got your back. Guys, make sure you're hitting the like and subscribe on the way in. We got 137 people watching. We only have 36 likes, guys. 36. 101 of you are not hitting the like button. For some reason, you think it's entertaining to kick me in the gonads instead, right? Lawrence, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Crypto JPEG. Good morning, Rob. What are we thinking? Typical Monday liar, or is it finally time to climb? Well, I mean, we'll know more after Bitcoin has its daily close, right? If Bitcoin can close above 100, this blue line here, $112,536, well, then we're putting in a higher high and we're starting a new trend, a new upward trend, right? So Strawberry Dragon in the house, another local. What's going on? Happy Monday, Rob. Glad you probably glad I feel better. Kids, what's up, buddy? Hey, Rob, Zebek having himself a nice day so far. Long may it continue. Yeah, Zebek it's getting rejected at resistance, where I told you guys it probably would get rejected at resistance. But that's fine. That's fine. It might take a couple of days to break through. I went over that in the morning morning market update overview over on the Patreon this morning. Dave, morning. What's up, man? Good to see you, brother. YouTube watcher says, hey, Rob, where do you see Jasmine by the end of September? I'm not even going to answer that. I don't answer that. But like, people give me these obscure timelines. Where's it going to be in 2 weeks? Where's it going to be in a month? Where's it going to be a week from Friday? If you ask me where it's going to be by the end of the year, I'll probably have an answer for you, or the end of the cycle. But people picking out these obscure timelines and saying, where's it going to be by this? I don't know, man. I don't know. Another local, what's going on, man? More glad you sound almost recovered. Zebi is up 13.4%. Pump start. Yeah, nice start to the week. But hopefully Monday is not a liar this time, though. I can't wait until Zebek or something like it becomes mainstream. Or something becomes like it. Yeah. Deposits dry powder. My nose is itchy as hell. I'm still waiting for it to clear. Hopefully tomorrow. There you go. Yeah, Zebek's going to be, guys, Zebek's going to be massive. Honestly, man. Like, miss it at your peril. Miss it at your peril. Alfredo, what's up, buddy? Motivation Daily, Zebek and Cookie are on the rise. Like, subscribe, and join the Patreon. Absolutely. Quinn, what's up, buddy? Gustav, what's up, man? Thanks for everything you do. Any news about the T-shirts? You know what? I'll text my guy today about it. I'll text, because it's been a while. Last time I talked to him, he said he was expecting the printer, the press, the design within a couple of days, and I haven't messaged him since. So I'll shoot him a message today and see what's going on. Keep in mind, it's a lot of shirts that he's got to make. Good morning, Angelo. What's up, buddy? Stop selling people. Just hold, or else you're kicking Rob in the gonads. Exactly. I only closed 25% of the trade. Still nice, and you still made juicy profit on it. It's still riding up too, man. It's still riding up. There's still a lot of room left in that swing trade. Angelo, anyone know what? I'm actually gonna have a video covering that. I'm gonna have a video breaking that down today, Angelo. So make sure you stick around for that. I'm gonna cover what it is and why it's pumping. Danny, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, man. RRM. Got another 1 million Zebi Saturday. There you go, man. There you go. We are all caught up in the chat, guys. Let's get into the news. Let's see what's going on around the crypto space. Okay, so first off, as we always do about this time, quick shout out to the channel sponsor, Decent Biometric Wallet. Not your keys, not your coins, guys. Keep your crypto safe. Keep it off exchanges. You can swap, take profits, and even stake your crypto right on your Decent wallets. Use our link down below. Get yourself a deal on 2-for-1 on the biometric wallet today, guys. Fingerprint technology. Can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong. All right. Let's check out the Russell real quick. Russell's looking good. Made another leg up today, inching and squinching its way towards the previous cycle high. Once we break through there, altcoin season should be on the rise. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. All right. What else do we have? Cody, my guy, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Super chat, super stickers have been very, very few and far between lately. Maybe it's sentiment in the market. I don't know, but it's greatly appreciated, my brother. Coinbase, several XRP ETFs are set to launch. A new research note from Coinbase Institutional has ignited speculation that the next wave of cryptocurrency exchange-traded funds will include multiple spot XRP products. The report, highlighted by market watcher SMQKE Smoke, I'm assuming, on X, underscores that the US SEC is currently reviewing more than 90 new crypto ETF applications. This figure signals a potentially transformative moment in digital asset markets. Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seifert added perspective Nothing that issuers are going to launch, noting that issuers are going to launch a lot of products and try to find something that sticks, according to Safeart. The next 12 to 18 months could see hundreds of crypto ETFs launched, including funds tied to XRP, Solana, Dogecoin, and other high-demand digital assets. Recent activity in SEC filings has given analysts more reason to believe that XRP ETFs are inching closer to launch. Within the past week, several applicants amended their their ETF applications. The process was typically reflects ongoing discussions. So basically, they send in an application to the SEC. The SEC bounces it back and says, change this, tweak that, alter the application to this. They want to fine tune it. Then they send it back in. Then it generally gets approved after it gets those little amendments, right? So once such filing came from Volatility Shares, which submitted a post-effective amendment for its proposed spot XRP ETF under the ticker XRPI. Similar amendments have been spotted across other issuers' submissions, signaling that sponsors are fine-tuning details, like I just said. The XRP ETF race includes a diverse mix of traditional asset managers and crypto-native firms. Legacy financial institutions bring scale, brand recognition, and distribution channels, while specialized crypto issuers tend to emphasize innovation and market familiarity. Both camps are positioning themselves to capture what many believe could be significant inflows from institutional and retail investors alike. Very, very bullish, guys. I don't know if XRP spot ETF is going to have the same effect as Bitcoin did at first. It might take a while to gain momentum, just like with Ethereum, right? Everyone was expecting, including myself, a big run on Ethereum when we saw an Ethereum spot ETF. But that wasn't the case. Ethereum actually dumped for months after we got it, and it didn't actually start to gain adoption and see massive inflows until about halfway through this year. So, yeah, something to think about. When is the new review for Jasmy leaving the monitoring zone? That would be the first week of next month, the first week of October. So it's the first week of every quarter. So, Yo Mars, what's up, man? Cody says, smash the like button. Love supporting the channel, my brother. Thank you so much, Cody. Ramona, dropping some chatter. Good morning, everyone. Please hit the like and subscribe. Absolutely. Surf Armory, good morning, all. It's all good. It's a good day to have a good day. Absolutely. Hit the like because Rob busts his butt making content for us to devour. Yes, absolutely, guys. If you appreciate the work that I put in, hit the like button. It's absolutely free, and it's all I really ask of you. 170 people watching, 65 likes. Let's get to 100, guys. Let's get to 100 likes. Let's keep this boat in motion here, guys. Let's keep going. While I try to hold my coughs in, I'm still sick. SEC approval of listing standards can mainstream crypto ETFs. For years, the approval of crypto ETFs has been one of the most contested battles in financial regulation. The first application for a spot Bitcoin ETF dated back more than a decade. Only in early 2024, after repeated denials and a court battle that forced the SEC to reconsider, did a spot Bitcoin ETF finally gain approval in the US. So Gary Gensler just would not approve a spot Bitcoin ETF. He wouldn't do it. They literally, Grayscale had to sue the SEC, and the courts essentially had to force the SEC to start approving these spot ETFs, right? If you're new to crypto and didn't know that, yes, that is how against crypto Gary Gensler was. A judge had to tell him that he was acting arbitrary and capricious with them denying spot Bitcoin ETFs. there was no valid reason to do so, right? So yeah, very interesting. Do you think ZBEC's going to drop in price? I think ZBEC right now is fighting a resistance level. If it breaks above, I did a short on YouTube. You should go watch. It gives my the next price targets if it breaks to the upside. But no, and unless Bitcoin has a massive dump, I don't think ZBEC's going to have a massive dump. Go fast. What's up, buddy? The long road that pointed the long road to that point underscored the regulatory caution, political scrutiny, and structural complexity surrounding digital asset markets. Now, just a year later, the conversation has shifted dramatically. The SEC is considering a set of proposals from NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, and CBOE, BZX, to adopt generic listing standards for crypto and commodity-based ETFs. That would make it a lot easier for a lot of these spot ETF applicants to get approved a lot faster, right? Because the SEC, obviously they want to do something like that. They don't want to spend all of their time and resources going through every single ETF application with a fine-tooth comb. They want to basically set a list of standards, right? A criteria that every single spot crypto ETF needs to meet. And if it does, it should automatically get that approval, which streamlines the whole process. So going into the next couple of years, you're probably going to see at this time next year or 2 years from now, you're probably going to see hundreds, if not thousands, of spot crypto ETFs across the board, right? So don't be surprised at all, guys. Speaking of Grayscale, Watch TV last week, which I don't do much, they had crypto commercial ETF, I believe, was Paramount. Nice. There you go. Lion's Den. Lots of sissy bears out there, Rob. Yes, I will get your one-on-one call done today, brother. Fell asleep last night, so. Candyman, what's up, buddy? Dropping some cheddar as well. If you think swimming with dolphins is expensive, you should try swimming with sharks. Cost me an arm and a leg. Nice. Well done. Dad jokes galore, man. We got dad jokes galore. The current approval process for crypto ETFs is cumbersome. Each new filing can take 240 days or longer. You see why they want to streamline it, right? Can I update the price target on ZBEC? You want me to just make up a new number for you? Is that what you're asking me to do? Staff review the often prolonged uncertainty, generic listing standards, which could, so basically, without having to read this entire thing, like I just said, guys, the process to get a spot crypto ETF approved right now is very cumbersome. It takes a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of resources. So creating a list of standards that each applicant has to meet would make it a lot more streamlined, right? And it would be like an automatic kind of system. Kim Sim, what's up, man? Hey, Rob. Boost your vitamin intake and boost your immune system. We need you to be well. We love you, Rob. Thank you so much. I love you too. Thank you so much. All right, so what else do we have? Let's segue over to the jobs report fallout, where investors might find shelter. All right, so at Thursday's White House meeting with top tech CEOs, excluding Elon Musk, apparently, President Trump foreshadowed Friday's job reports. He noted that the real numbers that I'm talking about are going to be whether it is will be in a year from. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, a month prior, President Trump fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because he accused her of manipulating the numbers. It was a her, right? Yeah, it was a her. He accused her of manipulating the numbers, as we all know. Moreover, the BLS revised downward jobs figures in prior 2 months, May and June, by cutting previously reported 250,000 jobs, despite the firing of Miss Intarfer. Miss Intarfer. Under the current acting BLS commissioner, William, the non-farm payroll data is abysmal. For August, the U.S. labor market added only 22,000 jobs against the expected forecast of 75,000. The number of people looking for jobs is now 6.4 million, having increased by 722,000 year over year. However, they were not counted as unemployment owing to the BLS methodology. The number of officially unemployed is 7.4 million, raising the unemployment rate from July's 4.2% to 4.3%. For comparison, just after the Great Recession in October of 2009, the unemployment rate was 10%. The goods producing sector lost 25,000 jobs alongside 12,000 in manufacturing, down 78,000 year over year, and 7,000 in construction. The latter represents payroll cuts for 3 consecutive months. At the same time, transportation, retail, hospitality, health, and education sectors added jobs. Given that President Trump began global tariff realignment with domestic reindustrialization in mind, so far the results are the opposite of expected. This month, June's data has also been revised downward from plus 14,000 to minus 13,000. As an aberration from typical downward revisions, July's data has been revised upward from 73,000 to 79,000. Overall, there are more unemployed than there are job openings, at 7.2 million, which hasn't been the case in over 4 years. An additional concern is that the labor market is structurally weak. Specifically, while part-time employment increased by 597,000 jobs from July to August, full-time employment dropped by 357,000 jobs in the same period. This lopsided trend indicates that businesses are employing a low-risk strategy, unsure of their growth. Cutting full-time employment also suggests hiring freezes, likely to rely more on the AI option. Ooh, AI stealing jobs, guys, stealing jobs. Just as domestic manufacturing and construction are waning, despite new tariffs, retail hiring is still up. So you can go work. You can't work a construction job, but you can go work at McDonald's. This is not surprising, as domestic spending makes minus 70% of the U.S. gross domestic product, GDP, at around 15 trillion. However, if the part-time employment trend continues, this doesn't bode well for the primary driver of the U.S. economy, given that part-time workers have less disposable income. Not cool, man. Additionally, the inflation rate is at 2.7%, appears to be reheating, likely due to tariffs, which further degrade consumer spending. As of July, DPI, disposable personal income, increased by 0.4%, but this monthly growth is likely to turn negative if inflation continues to ramp up. For the time being, the government figures are to be trusted. Average hourly earnings increased 3.7% year over year, yet the superficial outpacing of official inflation data doesn't seem to be translating to actual household balance sheets. Already in May, we saw retail sales decline by 0.9% on the monthly basis, the largest drop in 4 months. Yeah, Taylor, that's the third time I've seen you say that. That's because it's in Canadian dollars, my friend. Right? I keep it in Canadian dollars on CoinMarketCap. Outside of retail, utility companies have inelastic demand, positioning themselves to outperform the consumer tightening spending. This is especially the case when it is unlikely that the energy sector will be affected by the big tech's long-term AI data center infrastructure commitment. Lastly, luxury brands in particular, after the US-EU trade deal, are likely to be affected. Yet those Euro cars are going to be more expensive. Silver lining to poor labor market. It is now less surprising why President Trump framed jobs numbers ahead of Friday in terms of in a year from now. It is also less surprising why Fed Chair Powell hinted at rate cuts starting in September, given that inflation is still not under control. A cooling economy needs cheap borrowing capital, which opens the liquidity floodgates. Let's go, baby. In this macro, Bitcoin is likely to re-emerge as a speculative beneficiary. So we are about to see the floodgates open, guys. Are we going to see the first rate cut in September? There's 100% chance on betting odds that we are going to see a rate cut. Imagine putting a $20 bet against that, and us not seeing a rate cut. That'd be crazy. But what's really gonna make a difference, though, is what Powell implies after this month's rate cut going into October, November, and December. If he implies we're likely going to see another rate cut or two before the end of the year, markets will respond in a bullish fashion. If he doesn't, however, well, Big C, AI will take way more jobs, with California leading the jobless market. Will only continue all across the board. Yeah, ditto. What's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, I agree. Let's segue over to Squawk Box, guys. One of my favorite dudes. Need Songbird to rip. Yes, amen to that, man. One of my favorite dudes over on Squawk Box, Tom Lee. Bitcoin can easily get to 200K before the end of the year, says Tom Lee.
Now, Tom Lee, Fundstrat Global Advisors, Head of Research. Good morning to you. Want you to weigh in, if you could, on this debate we've been having, or I should say the debate maybe the White House is having over these jobs numbers and what it portends for the economy and therefore what it portends for the Fed.
We can see that Fed fund futures jumped from roughly 2.3 cuts by the end of this year to almost 3. So on the heels of that jobs report, the bond market essentially is saying that the labor market is now deviating further from the Fed's target than inflation, and therefore justifying actually one additional cut. So I think that makes sense to me, because we know inflation, and that August CPI gets reported this week, may be elevating, but that the markets are going to begin to view that as transitory. Whereas the weakness in the labor market, as you know, once it begins to weaken, it's very hard to reverse that momentum. So I think it's important for the Fed to intervene quickly.
And are you of the view 3 times this year, minimum?
Sense. To me, if I look at what the bond market's pricing, which is now essentially 3 cuts, and the Fed is talking about 2, the bond market is saying the Fed is behind in terms of how they're perceiving these changing conditions. And so I think on the 17th, when the FOMC makes its rate decision, I think there is a chance the Fed responds to that. And if it does, it's going to be good news, because the bond market is going to take comfort from the Fed at recognizing the labor market's weakening.
Hey, Tom, even if the Fed cuts rates, it controls the short end, but not the long end. What do you anticipate happens on the longer end, and what do you think happens to the mortgage market, too, as a result?
The long end is something to wonder about, because we know globally, the 30-year especially has crept up. And we know that the Fed and other central banks have acknowledged that monetary policy has a lot of influence up until 5-year. The correlation is 90%. But once you get into the 10-year, the bond market is making its own decisions about growth. That is something kind of troubling. But on the other hand, I think mortgage rates could come down sharply, because the spread between the 30-year mortgage and the 10-year is over 300 basis points. The 50-year average is around 160. So the Fed, if it begins to resume cutting and the bond market views that as essentially an easing trend, the 30-year mortgage could drop 150 basis points if the 10-year doesn't even move. That's a lot of easing for the housing market.
That is a big deal. And I know you're not an economist, but you have to have a view on where you think the economy is headed. If we get these Fed cuts and the economy, doesn't take a steep leg down, despite what we've seen with the jobs market, that's one thing. But if we get these cuts and you're also dealing with a slowing economy, potentially even a recession down the road, I mean, that's a completely different story. You looking at these Fed cuts as for good reasons, because we can do it and get away with it and it's going to improve the economy? Or you looking at this and thinking, yeah, I worry about what comes on the other side?
Yeah, I'm going to take the camp that I think that these cuts are actually going to be very constructive for the economy, because the 30-year mortgage is strangulating the economy. We know housing has slowed dramatically, but we also know that there's a lot of pent-up demand for housing. So it's a market that does need to be fixed in terms of easing sort of supply-demand conditions. And we also know that ISM, which is a measure of business confidence, has been below 50 for 31 months. It's the longest stretch since the ISM's ever been created. So I think business confidence recovers if the Fed starts to cut. And so the combination of easing mortgage rates, business confidence recovery, I think is kind of a broadening cycle. And actually, I think that's why small caps have been the second best performing group after Mag 7 over the last 8 weeks.
Tom, you know, one of the things that Scott Besson said was he thinks that the economy is actually in better shape than we think, and that the jobs numbers are going to get better. How does that factor into your thinking, or does it?
I mean, I think on the margin, I'd agree with Treasury Secretary Besson's comments for two reasons. One, when we go through corporate earnings, we don't have any increase in comments from businesses saying business tapered off in July or August. So even though the labor market shows like it's deteriorated the last 2 months, business conditions haven't. In fact, even the Fed's beige book, most regions reported improving conditions. So that is one thing. And the second is we know the labor market undergoes a lot of revisions, and we get September's benchmark revisions. I think it may show that the job market's been weak all year. And in fact, maybe the last few months have actually been stable. So I think Treasury Secretary Besson is sort of correct to an extent.
Hey, Tom, Bitcoin, before we let you go, tell us what you think. We're at about $111,000. The upside, the downside from here?
Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies like Ethereum are super sensitive to monetary policy. So I think that September 17th is an important catalyst. Crypto typically does really well in the fourth quarter. So I think Bitcoin can easily get to 200,000 before year end. I know it's a big move. It's almost a double, but that's also going to be
almost a double from here. Let's just hold on. Let's just take a quick pause. A double from here. So everybody's listening to this. We're at $111,000, and you think by Christmas time, effectively, we could be at 200,000?
That's right. One of the reasons Bitcoin stalled this year is the Fed's been on pause for 9 months. That pause all year, if you look at an easing cycle, that's only happened 2 other times, in 1998 and 2024, where the Fed began to resume cuts in the fourth quarter in September. Equities do really well. As you know, crypto is beta to equity. So I think it's going to be a very strong fourth quarter. Small caps should also rally, like IWM, but that also is really bullish for Ethereum, which is highly linked to small caps.
So you are seriously bullish into the end of the year at this point, given these rate cuts. You don't look at it as bad news is good news, but therefore the good news can't be that good situation.
I would be more cautious, Andrew, if we didn't encounter so much skepticism about stocks. I think year to date the S&P is up 10%. As you know, when you look at a pretty good measure like AAII, net bulls less bears, it's been negative for 5 weeks. So at all-time highs, investors are bearish. And we find that skepticism among our institutional clients. So I think most are kind of bracing for a defensive view between September and year end. That's why I think that the stock market will surprise to the upside.
200K Bitcoin by the end of the year. I don't think so, guys. I don't think so. I think that 150 to 180 is the top for Bitcoin. I could be wrong. We could hit 200K. But what I can tell you is in the last cycle, everyone swore we were breaking 100K, 150K, even 200K. I heard some people calling for $1 million in the last cycle, right? We hit $69,000, and then that was it, man, right? So I could see something very similar happening here where everyone's expecting 200K. We hit 150, 160 or something like that, top out, call it a day, right? Altcoins start to go nuts. I could see that happening. Shannon, what's up, man? What's going on? I hit Gary daily. This is why I say don't be blowing your money on Lambos, yachts, and useless things. You're going to need that money for reinvestment to build wealth to survive. Yes, exactly. You don't spend your money after your first cycle. You reinvest it into the next cycle. After that cycle, then you've got life-changing wealth. Ben, what's up, buddy? Love jumping into ZBIC. DCA last. Nice. There you go, man. Nice. Is that the Safe Moon logo? I think so. It looks like it, doesn't it? Good luck with that 200K. Yeah, I don't see it happening either, man. USDC circulation has increased by 2 billion in 7 days. Circle's USDC stablecoin supply increased by $2 billion in the last week, reaching 72.5 billion coins circulating as of September 4th, 2025. Or September 4th. Did I say 24th? The notable expansion highlights rising demand in crypto markets, potentially enhancing liquidity and DeFi activity, which reinforces USDC's Circle's role in digital finance. Circle's stablecoin USDC supply saw a substantial rise of $2 billion over the past week. Stablecoin circulation reached a total of $72.5 billion, 2.5 billion coins, as of September 4th, driven by increased minting activity and market demand. The entities involved include Circle's leadership, with key figures like Jeremy Allaire leading the company. The supply change is seen as an indication of a robust institutional interest in capital inflow. So $2 billion is getting ready to pour its way into the market, guys, probably into stuff like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, because it is most likely institutional money. But that's a lot of liquidity coming into the market. The $2 billion increase impact multiple sectors, boosting liquidity in DeFi markets. This injection is anticipated to bolster activity across centralized and decentralized platforms. Higher liquidity typically leads to growth in total value locked, or TVL. Financial implications are significant, with the increased supply potentially affecting yield rates. Additionally, trading volumes and the value of related cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Bitcoin and others are likely to experience shifts. On-chain data and historical performance suggests a likely rise in DEX trading volume and DeFi protocol engagement. An augmented USDC supply is expected to drive market dynamics in the crypto space. While there is no direct executive quotes on this change, Circle's focus is on regulatory compliance, boosts market confidence, MiCA compliance, yada, yada, yada. So we are seeing an increase in stable coins being minted, and this is another factor this is another metric that you're supposed to be using to indicate how close we are to things taking off. When you start to see stable coins being minted like crazy, that's a lot of liquidity coming into the market, because what do you use stable coins for? You use them to purchase crypto, right? So, very bullish. Thoughts on XNO? XNO. Nano? XNO. Talk about Nano? $117 million market. It's got good tokenomics, I'll give it that. Layer 1. Made in USA tag. That's good. I don't like it, man. I don't like it. It underperformed in the last bull run in 2021. It has not reached a new all-time high in over 7 years, right? So that tells me that it underperformed in the last bull run, and I would want to know why it underperformed in the last bull run. So no, I'm not a fan of it at all. I don't like touching projects unless there's extenuating circumstances, like XRP, for example, going through a lawsuit. Then I usually try to stay away from projects that underperform in previous cycles. I hit Gary Daly. Remember the new Fed governor appointed by Trump? Yes. Sorry if I butchered the last name. He will be involved in the meeting most likely. Yep, absolutely. Amen to that. Amen to that. All right, we got this final piece we want to get into here, guys. This is interesting. Polygon developer accuses World Liberty Financial of major fraud. Developer of Polygon has accused World Liberty Financial of fraud, alleging they froze investor funds, sparking controversy in the cryptocurrency community. The incident highlights vulnerabilities in automated compliance tools and raises concerns about investor protection and the crypto market. The Polygon developer labeled World Liberty Financial as a scam of all scams after the project allegedly froze his investor assets. Bruno Skavork, actively involved in crypto development, accuses World Liberty Financial of fraudulent activities and misuse of compliance tools. So we covered this the other day. He tweeted this out. I just got a reply. So this is his reply from World Liberty Compliance, right? So he tweeted out, he said, I just got a reply from World Liberty Financial. Basically, the story is they stole my money. And because it is POTUS's family, Trump's family, I can't do anything about it. This is the new age of mafia. There is no one to complain to, no one to argue with, and no one to sue. It just is. Here's the compliance email ye got from World Liberty Financial Compliance that says, thank you for reaching out. Unfortunately, due to high-risk blockchain exposure associated with your wallet address, we will not be able to unlock your tokens. So they locked up his tokens and they are refusing to give them back, right? That is, by the way, guys, that is the absolute opposite of what crypto stands for. That is completely 100% centralized, right? If they can freeze your tokens and not allow you to have access to them, that's not a decentralized project, my friends. High-profile figures, including Polygon's Bruno Skavork and Tron's Justin Sun, reportedly World Liberty Financial froze their tokens. He described World Liberty WLFI as a new age mafia, while Sun criticized their actions as a violation of investor rights. Freeze actions have directly impacted investors, with allegations against WLFI reporting millions of dollars in locked tokens. On-chain investigator Zach XBT highlighted issues with compliance tools, noting flaws that labeled wallets high risk without significant justification. So they're identifying big wallets holding a lot of tokens and classifying them as high risk wallets without any justification for doing so, which is allowing them to freeze the assets, right? This is fraud. This is theft. Financial impacts include frozen WLFI token holdings, prompting criticism about crypto leaders. Justin Sun publicly demanded his tokens be unlocked, calling them sacred and inviolable. No significant changes in major markets. Asset values have been observed following this incident. No regulatory bodies like the SEC or CFTC have issued statements about the ongoing situation. Of course they're not going to go. You think that Paul Atkins is going to go after Trump's World Liberty Financial for stealing people's money? Of course not. Historical trends of automated compliance tools, misidentifying risk suggests potential for regulatory scrutiny. So this is going to be an interesting story to follow, guys. Listen, we made a lot of money shorting World Liberty Financial in our trading group, and I told everybody I wouldn't touch it, guys. Wouldn't touch it. This is what's happening. People got mad at me for saying it. I wasn't fighting the project. I was trying to protect you from buying a scam, right? It's that simple. It's that simple. And I'm not saying the token is a scam, but when they are freezing people's money and stealing it unjustifiably, that's a scam, right? So just because it hasn't happened to you doesn't mean that it's okay, right? So something to think about, guys. Something to think about. All right, so back over to Bitcoin. What do we got? What do you say? What do you know? We have fallen back below resistance on Bitcoin. $112,518. We're about $20, $25 below that level, below resistance right now. So, told you guys a lot of time left in this day. We got just under 8 hours left in this daily candle. So can we rip up? I'd like to see us rip all the way up and retest the 30-day SMA right up here as resistance and close up there. That's what I would like to see. But time will tell, guys. Time will tell. What do we got in the chat? Candyman, $1 billion Bitcoin by next week. Let's go. Carlos, Rob, what is your opinion on why Swift didn't move too much on the 2021 cycle? I think that they were just kind of ahead of their time. Decentralized finance wasn't as popular as adopted as it is today, first of all. And they didn't have as much of their product out to launch. Almost similar to Jasmy in a way, where they didn't really have much of their product out to launch. And they also did shift their direction in this cycle, and since then they've started to become very successful. So that's kind of my opinion on that. Centralized is correct, but how many of these people that have had wallets frozen are bad actors? Hey, Gary, I agree with you 100%, man. You're preaching to the choir with that, right? I agree. Justin Sun, can't stand the man. I think he's a bad actor in the space. I think he needs to go along with Sam Bankman-Fried and Dao Quan and CZ. I think he's right up there with those guys. 100% agree. He's a black eye on the crypto space. Absolutely. However, we cannot say it's okay to steal people's money in crypto because it's a slippery slope, right? We can't say, well, this person deserves it and that person doesn't. It's a slippery slope. If we say it's okay for the goose, then it's got to be good for the gander, right? So, Lawrence, they will hate what? They will hate he who is always right. Yes, World Liberty Fund. Yes, that's exactly it, right? And people think I'm fighting it or something. I'm not fighting it. I just want you guys to be safe. I don't want you to buy a project that's gonna rug you, you know. And that's essentially what happened. It launched, and everybody was buying it when it was being launched on all of the exchanges. I said, guys, you're buying the top. It's gonna crash, and sure enough, it crashed. Right? We shorted it in the trading group, and we made a crap load of money doing it. Right? So, by the way, guys, join our trading group if you want to make a crap load of money. We just closed out another successful trade today. You gotta check it out, guys. And you know what? We're going to open another swing trade this afternoon. So jump aboard, guys. We have been knocking it out of the park in our trading group. The link is in the chat. It's in the pinned comments. It's in the description. My friends, we've been crushing it. Market's red, market's boring, market's sideways. We're still making money. And we're teaching people how to swing trade. We're teaching people how to do these things over there as well. So check it out today, guys. Again, the link is down below. I got to get out of here. I will be back a little bit later. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless.